The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order! The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Big Ben Haslar presiding. We all rise for the Honorable Judge Haslar. Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we are hearing the case of The People versus Escape from L.A., a 1996 action sequel that sees the return of Snake Plissken, who is again recruited by the U.S. government, this time into a lawless island of Los Angeles to secure a stolen doomsday weapon. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond the shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Mr. Ryan Luis Rodriguez, number 1, you are hearing on behalf of the prosecution. You may begin your opening statement.
What I say here today, I say with a heavy heart, but the facts of this case are unavoidable. John Carpenter's 1990s were, aside from one brief respite, an unmitigated shit show. It seems almost unfathomable that the man responsible for such high and low masterpieces as Dark Star, Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, Escape from New York, The Thing, Christine, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, and They Live could be the same man who unleashed upon the world Memoirs of Invisible Man, Village of the Damned, Vampires, and the film I am here today to eviscerate, Escape from L.A. What exactly went wrong here? Was it an issue of creative burnout, a lack of confidence in the material, a lack of material to be confident about? Being told no too many times, being told yes too many times, or is it simply because Escape from LA has no reason to exist? Granted, no movie really has a reason to exist. They're movies, not civil rights. But ultimately, it doesn't matter why things went wrong. We are here to ultimately pass judgment on the final product, not the extenuating circumstances. We are merely here to pick apart the zebra carcass like the noble lions of the motherland. I don't actually know what that analogy has anything to do with anything. It just made me sound smart. This is such a slam dunk, so indefensible that it makes me curious what other pieces of cake I will be called upon to destroy. Spice World, The Jazz Singer, Triumph of the Will? Do your worst, defense, because I'm about to end your world just like Snake Plissken did at the end of Escape from LA, which is just the end of Escape from New York, but bigger and stupider. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Appearing on behalf of the defense, it's Mr. Phillip Mottaz. Please begin with your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, 16 years ago, my client was the victim of a terrible, heinous crime. It was attacked by narrow-minded fans who were upset that they simply got more of what they asked for. These people defamed Escape from LA as a bad movie, and what's more, they believed the label themselves. And their fascistic fan base rules are very simple. Once you get damned a bad movie, you never get out of that distinction. Well, that was then, and this is now. We, the people of 2021, must look at this 1996 movie, a sequel to a 1981 movie set in 1997, set in 2013, and simply give it a chance. We must allow the movie to stand on its own merits, of which there are many, and on its own terms, to not get hung up on what we think it's trying to do and examine what it accomplishes, to make it safe to come out of the shadows and be re-examined, reclaimed, and enjoyed by a new group of fans, the kinds that don't turn on things they propose to love just because it does not fit their exact personal standards. We expect the prosecution to appeal to your more cynical notions, to point out parts as ridiculous or over the top, and we are prepared to fight back with a detailed and thorough argument on the basis of, yeah, so? We are here for a movie which possesses value despite nitpicky missteps, to applaud a movie for having the guts to swing big, for setting a tone all its own, and for allowing Stacy Keach to rock a ponytail. We will present a case with a surfable tsunami of evidence that the opinions of spoiled, grumpy fans cannot hold back justice, and that Escape from LA is not guilty of being a bad movie. We also seek damages and court costs. Thank you.
That would be
Thank
a
you,
first.
Mr. Mottaz. Prosecution, you may begin with your first exhibit.
The original Escape from New York is one of those little miracle cult movies. That's not to say that the film is perfect, far from it. It is entirely unperfected, but miraculous in that it works at all. Made on a shoestring budget, it is a triumph of ingenuity, perhaps even enhanced by the fact that John Carpenter and crew had no business whatsoever even trying to pull it off. Working without resources forces filmmakers to be truly creative. Some of the greatest achievements in film are the result of being forced to tap into one's instinctive hindbrain to pull something together magically. Escape from LA is another case altogether. With a budget of $50 million, Carpenter could have made almost 10 Escape from New Yorks, yet there's not a single frame that works anywhere close to the original film. In fact, it's openly ugly. Whether it's a case of relying too much on still yet undeveloped computer-generated effects or simply shooting for the moon and missing the stars, I don't really care. The technical limitations of Escape from New York are charmingly quaint in retrospect, but Escape from LA is drowning in amorphous, blobby CGI nonsense with too much sheen, especially for a project that's supposed to have a sense of, exploitative grittiness. At times, it looks like a vastly less impressive imitation of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, a film that came out 6 years earlier. Give me model planes or styrofoam skyscrapers passing for computer radar readouts. Give me charm. Don't give me this shiny bloopy shit. God, I miss James Cameron and Roger Corman. Something I never thought I would say.
Mr. Mottaz, or what's your rebuttal?
I will object on the basis of so what, and some conjecture there. While I certainly share the prosecution's notion that a lot of the magic that may have helped Escape from New York succeed, we also feel that a big reason it succeeded is because of its very idea. The premise of it is so pulpy and so set already that a lot could be, I think it would take a lot more to ruin that idea. And as far as the I think you said bloopy?
Bloopy, yes.
Bloopy, yeah. Read that back. Bloopy, right.
Bloopy.
Bloopy.
He's the anti-Schlender over here.
Bloopy special effects. While we concede the term of the use of bloopiness, we're not sure that necessarily dictates it's as bad versus, say, just not being the model kit that the prosecution envisioned.
Okay. Prosecution, your next exhibit, please.
One of the reasons that it's frankly impressive that Escape from New York has the cult fan base that it does is that it has really nothing to do with New York. There's nothing in it satirically or culturally that reflects anything that necessitates it being set there. Is it because the city was...
Sorry, objection?
Yes.
It is clearly set in New York, and there are many nods to Broadway, and its brain is supposed to be in the library, and the police have set up on Liberty Island. So I'm not sure I understand the prosecution's notion that it doesn't have as much to do with New York. I feel it very much does.
Being set in New York doesn't have to have anything to do with it being New York. Let me elaborate just a little bit more.
Please, yeah.
Is my issue because the city was particularly crime-ridden? Well, you could make the same argument about any major metropolitan city at the time. Escape from Detroit may not have the same ring to it, but it's just as valid as Escape from New York. You see, the problem here is that New York is the setting. It has nothing to do with the story. You could transpose it to any city whatsoever. It doesn't even look like New York. The most recognizable iconography in it draws from the Los Angeles River, a highly ironic name if there ever was one, and East St. Louis, where it was photographed. But John Carpenter has lived most of his life in Los Angeles, has shot most of his movies there as well. So why does the cultural and satirical stuff feel so toothless? Oh boy, people in LA sure love their plastic surgery. Beverly Hills, what a wacky place. Agents, they really are cutthroat starfuckers, aren't they? Disneyfication, trans people, only in Los Angeles.
Mr. Rodriguez, order in my court. Yes.
I'm trying to angrily interrupt. I object to the notion about plastic surgery. I believe that's irrelevant. Plastic surgery is a very big part of LA culture, as is satirizing it. And for proof, we would like to cite the song by the artist The Weeknd, which is literally titled Escape from LA. And the quote is, "LA girls all look the same. I can't recognize the same work done on their face. I don't criticize." And I think that last thing we should all take to heart.
So pointing it out, is that satire? Is that really commentary? Or is that just acknowledging something that, okay, so that's like there being the New York Library in Escape from New York. Who cares?
The point of a sequel, if we can get into that, the point of the sequel is to do the thing that worked in the previous movie in a different way, right?
Which it doesn't do.
Objection. But it does do similar things, and part of what Escape from New York established with its template is that Snake Plissken will go into this upside down version of the city that we understand. So you get a terrible Broadway show in Escape from New York, for example. So it is a bit of a weird, twisted travelogue, and then you get to take him to different places to experience those things, all while trying to do the mission. So I feel that part of the buy-in of the premise is to come up with as many of those landmarks or those things or those highlights as you can to fulfill the promise of that premise.
That objection is sustained.
Okay, so if it's trying to establish or keep the formula of Escape from New York, what about Escape from New York suggests that it needs to adhere to that formula? What about it suggests that this is a franchise where every movie is essentially the same, just with the location switched out?
I'm veering into my own opinion rather than the scientific rock solid facts that I have.
Exactly.
But I feel we've heard this criticism before, especially lobbied at my beautiful client. And one actually suggested, I'm sorry I can't cite the author right now, but one suggested them doing more like a personal life of Snake Plissken. And it blew me away to think, it was like, but your title of the first movie is not called Snake Plissken. It's called Escape from New York. It seems like the premise is you make this hellscape of America, of the world, and then you travel to different cities, and it's escape from that city. It's not the biggest stretch of the imagination or the biggest stretch of the brain even, but I mean, that seems like what the movies are, that they should be set in a city and you are trying to escape from them.
So movies, but there's only been one. So who says it needs to be that?
I believe that would be the director and writer of both.
But why are they beholden to such a thing? If they establish the formula, why do they have to adhere to it?
That is, can I object to direct questions?
Sure.
No, we may just come at an impasse, but I think that most movies fall into that. You know, Ethan Hunt gets an impossible mission that involves masks and jumping from trains and doing crazy stunts, right? James Bond gets another crazy mission against some rogue terrorist unit. I mean, it's the template of action stars to kind of go into those same things. And while true, you can have series that break away from that mold, those are the exceptions that prove that rule. Most sequels stick to the plan.
But should they?
I don't think determining whether they should or shouldn't.
We'll let the jury answer that question.
Yeah, let the jury do a job.
Mr. Rodriguez, your next argumentation, please.
I'm skipping ahead a little bit because I just want to piggyback on what the defense is saying. So the point that I have that is the most damning is that Escape from LA is almost beat for beat Escape from New York, and my principal question is thus: why? There's nothing about Escape from New York that really screams sequel or franchise. Sure, We would all love to know more about Snake Plissken and the universe that he inhabits, but sometimes the best mythical archetypes remain the best because we don't have all the answers. It allows the viewer to create the answers in their own memories, to write continuing or preceding adventures in our own imaginations. When Hollywood decides that it must deliver a definitive answer to the continuing Snake Plissken saga, we get something as utterly insipid and charmless as Escape from LA, which suggests that Snake Plissken is good for one thing and one thing only: going on adventures that quote his past adventures verbatim. And all of this is easily bypassed. For instance, if you're going to transpose Snake to a new locale with a new mission, I don't know, maybe don't have the president involved in any capacity. Don't make it another man on a mission, one crazy night story. Don't make it so episodic. Don't openly invite the comparison by giving the audience one-to-one correlations. Try something that breaks the mold. I know these are certain expectations for sequels to be yet the same, but maybe it's about goddamn time that we did away with that knee-jerk practice altogether.
Was that directed at Mr. George Lucas, just out of curiosity?
Partially.
Personally.
Your rebuttal, Mr. Mottaz.
First of all, it is hard to make a rebuttal because I'm sure I have angrily made those arguments about Star Wars in the past myself. But I would challenge the prosecution to present the type of story that you are supposed to take a soldier of fortune like Snake Plissken in besides these. And on top of that, I would also challenge that you come up with one that is more fun than the pulpy, ticking clock, I only have so many minutes to get out type of fare. I don't think we can really, without John Carpenter being here, I don't think we can really speculate as to why they chose to do this or that. But
laziness.
It seems to be objection. That's speculation and opinion. But you've
been using your opinion too.
But the movie
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, especially when you're imitating yourself, right?
I lost my amazing train of thought, but I push back. I push back on the idea that there is something else that you should do with Snake, and the idea that it's limited. I would also object to limiting his adventures, because in both New York and LA, there are other adventures that are referred to. It seems that Snake Plissken is this mythical, madman running loose in this dystopian America. And people have somehow heard of him because of those things. Some people in Escape from LA, I believe, have heard of him because of New York. Other people reference this Cleveland job. I think something else comes up too. So it's a bigger thing, a la Indiana Jones. There are only, I forget how the court ruled, whether there's only 3 or 4 Indiana Jones adventures officially.
3.
There's
3.
4.
Three.
No,
There's
no,
4.
it was not
There's
guilty.
3.
Only 3. I'm looking at it right now.
Order.
Order, yes.
Thank you.
You can't say that, Your Honor.
Wow. He was right, though.
Thank you.
And give me back my gavel, please.
But similar to those movies, they refer to past adventures, things that they're going to be doing off screen. We just happen to be watching this one. I would even argue that it builds Snake's character, that in a way he kind of can't believe he's on the same fucking mission again when he's been, robbing the I think at one point he's supposed to be robbing Fort Knox or something, and he's running some other job, and he's in some sort of gunfighting network in New Las Vegas, Taiwan or something. So I object to the idea that it's limiting him, because they put in details in there that actually expand his legend.
Well, if his legend is actually more entertaining or more ingenious than Escape from LA, please show me those adventures, but don't put me on the same adventure that I've been on.
I didn't say they were ingenious.
I would watch the Cleveland job.
I would too. And actually, when I get to my remarks, I cite that as one of the crimes against us, that we didn't get those things.
I've gotten a Cleveland job before, and it's not that great.
Hey.
Boo!
Mr. Maynard, watch yourself. Mr. Rodriguez, your next point, please.
I didn't mean for this to happen, but this is how it worked out. A big point of contention in Escape from LA is the way that it handles the character of Snake Plissken, which is a failure that doesn't entirely rest upon the shoulders of John Carpenter. A big part of the blame should be directed towards Kurt Russell, which is a fact that I have difficulty reconciling. Kurt Russell one of our most watchable American actors, from his early days as a Disney protagonist to his current sexy distinguished gentleman phase, one that now includes Santa Claus for what it's worth, he is completely checked out here as Snake Plissken. At first, it seems to be entirely on brand. Snake Plissken in Escape from New York is the definition of a reluctant hero, or at least he would be if he demonstrated any traits that heroes possess, which he does not, and that is entirely by design. But something quickly becomes clear as Escape from LA drags on, and on it drags. Kurt Russell is checked out. Snake Plissken is supposed to be jaded, perturbed, resentful, not bored. He doesn't take anything seriously except for his survival, and he only carries out his mission because it's the only thing that will keep him alive. Here, the actor lumbers through scenes with a sense of petulant frustration that is made more puzzling by the fact that Russell co-wrote the movie. One point I will concede, his ass looks phenomenal in that black leather. The outfit is somehow more dated than his 1981 camouflage spandex, but the buns, they don't lie.
We would like to tack on a rider to that and say his hair is also amazing.
Yes.
The only cool
that
mullet ever. Good. I don't know where you're getting the idea that he is checked out, and I would like some specific references to those moves, considering the fact that he is not only playing a reluctant anti-hero. I mean, he's barely here. The most heroic things he does is not shoot two women in the face. And he has basically a cold or a building sickness through the whole thing. So he is also playing angry, frustrated, killing machine / has a sniffly nose. So what are some points where you find him bored?
Particular in the action sequences, which is mainly because a lot of the action was put in post-production, but he seems completely not just unfazed, but kind of just tired of the redundancy of every single scene. And to bring up a point, you mentioned that he's supposed to have a cold and all this stuff. Why do you give the guy a supposed virus that actually saps his energy when he only has 9 hours to get some kind of nuclear device? The fuck is that about?
They know, I believe I can speak for my client, that they know he will not do it unless he is properly motivated
so put a bomb in his neck. There you go.
They did that the previous one, and then you would be blasting.
They did everything else the same. Why can't they do that too?
They have to change you. I object to being zinged on that. They have to do the same thing.
You can object all you want.
They have to do the same thing, but different. It's still kind of the same, but they have to do it a little different. If Snake would look stupider if he was again allowed himself to have a bomb placed inside of him.
It's the same thing, though. They inject him. I'm sorry.
You don't have to ask him first. You just do it.
They do.
It doesn't matter if he feels
just
stupid.
Do it. But they do just do it. They put in whatever kind of, I don't know if it's technically a MacGuffin, but they put it in without his asking and just do it. And then it's there. And then they tell him that it is this, and he has so many hours. That is the premise.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Oh,
I heard you in that.
I just got
he has a fake flutoxin
Somebody
virus.
scratched me, and I got some kind of fake virus. I don't know what happened there, but I had to cough. Bullshit.
Ryan, you have 40 minutes to win this case.
Order in my Mr. Rodriguez, was that your last point, or did you?
No, I have one more. I have one last point. One of my chief criticisms, and I have a lot of them, of Escape from LA is the utter lack of danger. While I wouldn't classify Carpenter as an action director, he's known primarily for his horror films, which don't necessarily depend on kinetics. He has dabbled in the genre from time to time. For instance, Big Trouble in Little China demonstrates that Carpenter could even pull a few pages out of the martial arts and wuxia genre playbooks and add enough flourishes of his own to classify as an identifiable John Carpenter movie. The action in Escape from LA is inert if it exists at all, and I suspect it doesn't. There's a difference between stunt work and action, but this movie doesn't seem to know what that difference is. Any genuine thrills are kept at a distance, as if this film is attempting the Universal Studios theme park version of Escape from New York, where the audience is passively looking at projection screens while being gently rocked from side to side like some kind of fucking King Kong situation. In every situation Snake Plissken finds himself in, we know he's going to be okay, and not just because it's the same goddamn movie over again and we've seen it before. It speaks volumes that the most tense and involving set piece of the film sees Snake trying to score 10-second three-pointers, an absolutely embarrassing sequence from top to bottom, yet emblematic of the entire film. It feels very low energy, infused with a kid gloves handling of any and all brutality. It's honestly surprising to me that it isn't rated PG-13, because you could practically air this on network television with a few language cuts, which is possibly the most disheartening thing imaginable for an iconic character destined for grindhouse glory.
I would object to the lambasting of the basketball scene as unfair and prejudicial. I've played basketball. I'm sure many other people have.
Never.
Oh, great. Well, you've surely read a book about it then.
Okay, yes, I have.
It is. I have put personal work during this pandemic time into going out to my basketball hoop and shooting. It is really hard to make 3 shots in a row, let alone 5. Let alone 5 when you're sick. I cite the 1997 NBA Finals where Michael Jordan won the game while having the flu. He is focusing on how it, plus on top of that, that scene is focusing on how he wins over the crowd, thereby skewering LA's typical fickle fanness. I mean, it is on the nose to say this town loves a winner, but I have no other, living in Los Angeles as I am, as an outsider. I'm from the center of the United States. I moved to Los Angeles about 15 years ago.
I'm sorry.
I am amazed. Thank you. I am often amazed at how much people will turn the other cheek to terrible behavior, terrible things, objectively terrible people, as long as they're winning. And as much as it makes me cringe to use that as a defense, it is valid of this city. So I feel that
Are you not entertained?
Are you?
No, I'm not. I'm really not. You know, playing shuffleboard while drunk is also very hard, but you don't build an action sequence around it.
It's not.
Oh, Jesus.
Not with that
Mr.
kind of
Mottaz.
imagination.
Just rest on that one.
Yeah, just rest.
I rest, baby.
All right, Mr. Mottaz, you may present your argumentation.
Thank you. And again, I'd like to restate that our case for my client focuses not on conjecture and opinion, but on the facts presented within the film, and the fact that this film begins with a title sequence where laser blast sound effects accent every credit. Everybody heard that. There are pew, pew. This is a. I have the floor.
I'm just interjecting. That's all I'm doing.
This tells us something. This is a director telling us something. It tells us what we are in for. Now, depending on your level of intake of what fun is, that may tell you very much into the prosecution to step away. It may very well be an indication that this is not a movie that is for you, one that doesn't take itself too seriously, that will probably be gaudy and loud and silly and twisted and strange in the way that like 14-year-old boys would like. It also manages to maintain this tone throughout with its tsunami surf scenes and death basketball games and gunfights and chases and jokes and kills and thrills and Beverly Hills, all that stuff. Should I pause for, or no, I won't.
No, keep going.
Great. We would also like to read the following points of evidence for the movie being not bad. First of all, and I apologize if I mess up his name, the actor who plays Cuervo Jones, I believe it's George Korafas. He's a Greek actor. He commands his scenes with a strange kind of pseudo menace and also winking at things that I believe make all of his monologues worthwhile. I wish I could do his accent when he does this is LA Vato, that thing.
Yeah, I love poor man's Raul Julia. I love him.
It has
Ah,
objection to the meanness. other great scenes, standing alone. I know. I'm glad I drew you as my prosecution. Other great scenes and moments. I would say the water tunnel with Utopia. After Snake has won the basketball game, gotten the codes and gotten in there. I believe that's a well shot and interesting scene where he is presented with his mission. It would be a lot easier if he just killed her, but he can't. Snake working his way through Cuervo's goons on the cars and motorcycles. Well, yes, kind of ridiculous and ostentatious, still gets a lot of fun out of him just jumping on stuff and kicking ass and throwing people away. Snake entering the basketball court coughing is one of my favorite shots in the movie. I love that they build him up and they open it up, and here's Kurt Russell, apparently mileage varies, but looking like death warmed over and coughing as soon as it goes there. I think it's excellent. I also want pluses for him smashing Steve Buscemi's head in the car horn 4 times in a row. And for the final.
Sustained. You didn't object, but I sustain it.
Right. And for the finale, which really shows the movie's hand as not just like an action movie, but a Western. It is very much a Sergio Leone-inspired Dollars trilogy style movie. And that ending, along with the Bangkok Rules scene and a few others, lean into that. Those Westerns are not necessarily action-packed. They're more about setting up a scene, looking at things, looking at your characters existing in those places, and then having sudden acts of violence. The gunfire visual effects are worth noting. They are exquisite and activate my young 15-year-old brain in such a way. I love how they make sort of like starry X's. I also want a special plus for this movie for going after Disney, even though they can't call it Disney. And I believe that some people being narrow-minded would say, oh, they can't do it. Well, of course they can't fucking do it. Disney would sue them into the ground. They can't call it Disneyland. A more cowardly move would be to set it someplace you could say it. But the thing you have to do in Los Angeles, nobody comes to Los Angeles and says, I'm going to Knott's Berry Farm. Yeah, thank you. I said it first. Knott's Berry Farm or Universal Studios. No one says
That's
that.
In there.
Wally World.
Universal is in there. It's underwater.
It is in there. It's where I live in what they call the San Fernando Sea. I live in the San Fernando Sea presently. I appreciate
my condolences.
It's hot as hell. Swim. Tell me that. But I love, and we believe this movie deserves credit for the chutzpah for saying, no, even though we can't say the name, you know who it is, and you know why we're here. We have to blow this place up and attack it with hang gliders. It also deserves credit for predicting certain things, which I feel in 2021 makes it a very interesting watch. We have paramilitary police. We have a blowhard asshole for a president. We have mentions of a Muslim ban. We have trans people being marginalized. We have cyber stalking. We have the hills on fire. Another thing I can't believe we have to live with. We have deportation versus morals versus the right way to live in America. We even have, and I'm not saying this is what we live right now, but the talk of man-made Taylor viruses. Above all of this, the biggest evidence for Snake Plissken fans is that it gave us more Snake Plissken and fun with this premise. Carpenter, I believe, and I think many would agree, is a master at big ideas that still feel personal and fun. And we deserved more escape movies from this, but this unfair bad movie label robbed us of that.
Well, if we were going to get another movie, they were planning on making Escape from Earth, which I'm really glad they didn't, because given the history of shooting these movies where they're not, it probably would be shot on Jupiter. I'm really glad
funded by
Amazon. Isn't another escape movie. Yes, exactly.
Why? If you don't mind my asking, why is I've dabbled with it myself. The idea of like, a sequel messing up what my opinion is of the first movie or what have you. But why is it that you wish they didn't? For the idea that even if you didn't enjoy this one as much, there's a chance that they could have done something that you would have liked. Why is it that you are glad, you wish they would have stopped at one and glad they stopped here?
because I'm positive that the success, if this was a success, let's say in a hypothetical multiverse that this is a hit and people are saying we definitely want the next movie, they're not going to look at that and go, well, now we're going to do the one you don't expect. They're just going to keep going on this climb, or not a climb, it's actually a descent. And I'm just confident that if we were to get another movie, it would just simply be, okay, we're going to do the same beats, except it's going to be, he's getting into outer space, but he's going to have only 9 hours to do some shit, and the president of space tells him what he needs to do. I don't fucking know.
The president of the Space Force, probably. Space Force.
Yeah,
probably.
okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that anybody involved was demonstrating that they were capable of kind of breaking from the mold. And if anything, we were just going to get more of the same, except with, I don't know, aliens, maybe.
I guess, I appreciate that. And I guess I want to know why that has to do with you. Because, and the reason I ask, and I'm saying it very pointedly, I'm sorry, but you could not watch it. I actually have friends who, believe it or not, stopped watching Star Wars after episode 1. Somehow they weren't fooled enough, and they're like, nope, absolute garbage, I'm finished. But I take it that I am not necessarily one of those people, but I'm also trying my best to not be one of the people who sees something that may not be made for me and then hold it against that thing, and then also punish the part that I like for generating that thing. So I wonder what that has to do.
It's not that it's not made for me, it's that I just don't want to see the same movie over again. It has nothing to do with being made for me. I don't think anybody should really need to see a movie that they've already seen just in a more reductive way. It has nothing to do with whether it appeals to me. There you go. Let's not make movies ever again. There you go.
That was easy.
Oh no, what do we do?
Okay, well, the show's over. The show's been canceled. There are no more movies.
This works for the court because now you know exactly what you're dealing with. You can stop. You have the catalog. You can just go through the last 120
That's
movies,
true.
100 years. You don't have to worry about another one coming down the road.
Did you have any final points?
I believe I rest my case, Your Honor. I rest my case.
Very well. Mr. Rodriguez, you may present your closing argument.
Ladies of the jury, what are we doing here? I don't mean why are we in court bothering to spend more time in 30 minutes litigating Escape from LA than fanboy culture is bothered to even do in 25 years, although it's certainly a question that needs to be asked. I mean, what are we doing here? Beyond this court, in this life, on this planet, in this multiverse. But I digress. Look, everyone and their mother knows that there is nary a single redeemable aspect of Escape from LA, from its ghastly visual aesthetic to its uninspired performances, with a screenplay drowning in an over-reliance on burdensome exposition, hitting the same story beats in a redundant fashion, smelling distinctly of flop sweat as it circles the drain like the wretched turd it is. Escape from LA is a cancer on a would-be franchise, and now we must watch as it grows into an inoperable mass that causes violent seizures and periodic blood in our poop. John Carpenter put more energy into his Laserdisc audio commentaries, most of which consist of him chain-smoking and endlessly restating whatever's on screen, like he's some navigator for the blind who got roped into occasionally making a movie or two. I'll be astounded if you can manage to deliberate for more than 30 seconds because the case is cut and dry. But if anyone wants to talk more about Kurt Russell's ass, you have my number. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mottaz, do you want to talk more about Kurt Russell's ass?
I do, but I'm not sure we have time for us to.
Okay. Well, then present your closing argument instead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies of the jury, we presently live in a world of corporatized movie making, where the only things put on screen have been sanitized to appeal to the most people. McDonald's movie making. Fortunately, we have the past to examine, and we desperately need to find movies like Escape from LA, where movies are given to budgets are given to artists to make their visions free of corporate insight, free to try things, to one-up themselves, to deliver on-screen sights that had not been seen and will likely never be seen again. Is this movie perfect? No movie is. Does it offer ideas and fun and entertainment in 90-ish minutes? Absolutely. Aren't you tired of giant corporations dictating everything? Haven't you dreamed of blowing it all up and rebuilding? Supporting Escape from LA may not blow up everything, but it doesn't not do that. We ask that the court stand up. We ask that the court stand up to the corporations and toxic fans who have sanitized movies into a preordained box to allow us to make up our own opinions. Stand up and say, a movie can have a tough guy main character, but also have silly fun. Say, sometimes more of something you like, even if it's not what you expected, can be enough. Say, your opinions are not everyone else's. We are not asking that all people love this movie. We are asking for a chance of its label to be changed, to allow people to make up their own minds. If our client is guilty of anything, it's of being itself. And isn't that the true American spirit? Picks up cigarettes, lights it, smokes, walks away.
I hate America.
Of course you do.
Well, thank you both. Members of the jury, Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, Mr. Big Ben Haslar, and Mr. Maynard Bangs. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. Now it is up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict. Y'all better vote not guilty. I want my Escape from Glasgow film to cap off the trilogy.
Escape from
I'm
Glasgow.
sorry, bailiff.
Pitch
That ain't
me an
gonna
idea.
happen.
Let's hear it.
All right, guys. Very passionate case that we heard here. A lot of back and forth. Big Ben, what are you thinking?
I agree with Ryan that, Escape from New York, it's a film that shouldn't work, and yet for whatever reason it does. Every time I watch it, I just see these faults in it, and yet I'm hypnotized every time. Whereas Escape from LA, this is the first time I had seen this film, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting a direct rehash. That's kind of a fault that I think Mr. Rodriguez lays out, that a lot of, if I were to blame this sequel for doing that, then I'd have to blame almost 90% of sequels in existence.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of
should.
torn.
No, see,
Yeah.
this gets. I'm jumping in here. This reminds me a lot of the U.S. Marshals case, right? Where the movie is inviting all of these comparisons, right? It's not trying to be coy or sly or clever. It's basically saying, here's more Escape from New York, only now he's in LA, and when they invite that in, you're going to be more critical of it. And it's easy to be more critical of it because the faults are that much more obvious. It was the same way I felt about U.S. Marshals. And I'm just going to go on record right now. John Carpenter's a hack.
Oh, wow. Shots fired.
So what are you thinking, Maynard?
Well, I like to say that the prosecution named a bunch of bad Carpenter movies, and there was no mention of Ghosts of Mars.
Which is 2001. It's 2001.
I'm just saying, let's give Ghosts
It's
of
not
Mars
in the
a little
90s.
credit
It's
for
not
being
in
a
the
bad
90s.
movie.
No, I think Memoirs of an Invisible Man
All
is
right,
actually
no, we're not
good.
here to talk about that.
Whoa!
The charm of Escape from New York is, I think Ryan hit it on the head. It's that it's low budget, it's gritty, it's grindhouse feeling. It almost feels like they didn't even have a script finished when they were doing it. It doesn't feel like you're going on a tour through New York, and Snake is tough and cool. You like him, and then you go to Escape from L.A. and someone obviously pitched this to Carpenter. We can have, and I thought Ryan again read my mind basically like, oh, it's L.A., so we have plastic surgery monsters, and we have cutthroat agents, and I agree with Ryan. It's more satirical. I don't think that Escape from New York is satirical about New York. Like, what do cannibals have to do with New York?
So
Nothing.
it did do
It's just-
something. So it did do something new, is what you're saying.
You haven't had their hot dogs.
something new. You're not
Get
on
out
this
of the
room,
deliberation room.
but something.
Get out of there.
something
I'm going with
new,
you.
but
I went
not-
where you were.
Not
I had to
something.
clarify. That's different.
Not something new that I necessarily liked. You go from Snake Plissken shooting cannibals and fighting Ox Baker with a spiked club to him playing basketball and surfing a tsunami. It's
A very
it's-
poorly CGI'd tsunami.
the CGI in the movie is horrible. The submarine's especially offensive, and that shark that popped up at the submarine was especially bad. And it's like, learn your limitations. So, for me, Escape from LA was just, there's too much polish on it there, and that takes a lot of the gritty charm out. There is some good stuff. I mean, the parade, the little where he's jumping from car to car and taking out every guy. That's a really good action sequence.
It was, yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's like not Fury Road good, but similar of that kind of nature. A lot of moving vehicles and action, so that stuff was good. When there is humor, it's great. Like I can't remember her name, but when she's talking positively about LA just before she's shot, hilarious. I mean, that's the pop of the movie. That's so funny. I'm not going to say I would never watch this one again, but I certainly wouldn't watch it with a lot of enthusiasm. But I just feel like it would sort of be a follow up that I'd watch to New York, but something.
Man, I don't even know if I would watch Escape from New York again. I found myself not really even enjoying it. Maynard and I watched both features back to back to get ready for the show. And when I was a kid, I remember liking the idea of Escape from New York a lot more, and it just didn't really hold up for me. And then Escape from LA definitely didn't. And Ryan was really speaking my language when he was talking about the nature of sequels and things. I think a good parallel to that would be Predator. I mean, Predator spawned a huge franchise, and none of the movies have even touched Predator 1. They've all been pretty bad, and that's just what would have happened with these escape movies. You would have had New York sitting at the top, and then all the other ones would have just been derivative garbage, or they would have gone in weird directions that don't make sense for the franchise at all anyway. So I'm just gonna lock it in.
No. Right. I don't want you don't want to lock it in. You're scared.
No, I want to lock it in. I'm locking in. I loved just everything Ryan was saying really spoke to me. I really appreciate Philip's passion. He put on a great case, but I think Ryan gets the W today. I'm voting guilty.
Okay, I'm gonna go on record next, and I'll let Ben decide this one for us, though. And I'm swerving because it just struck me. You know what Escape from LA feels like compared to Escape from New York? It feels phony. It feels fake. It feels plastic. And that's LA. That is LA. LA is phony and fake and plastic, and it is trying to imitate other things that it can't ever be. And I never really thought about that maybe being an intentional choice. I don't know if it is.
John Carpenter's not that smart.
It's definitely
he is not that smart.
No, it's not, but I am.
No.
And so New York is gritty, and it's real, and it's dark. And LA is fake and CGI and empty and hollow. And that's what Escape from LA is. So I'm going to go not guilty based on that.
So you're basically saying so bad it's good.
No.
That's what you're saying.
I'm not saying it's so bad it's so good.
No.
It is more properly replicating its city. Like, that's what LA is about. And it is more properly showing that.
That's really thin, Maynard.
It's over your head. I get that. But we'll pass this off to Big Ben, and Big Ben can decide it.
All right, Big Ben.
I want Dylan to choke me.
He won't.
I'm not going to choke anyone.
His bark is worse than his bite.
Okay. This is a 50-50 film for me. Like, I keep swerving both ways in my head when I watch it. Like, there's that car chase. Hey, that's really cool. Then he's riding a surfboard on a tsunami. That's not so cool. Hey, this water tunnel shooting thing. That's pretty cool. Oh, the basketball thing. Not so cool. So yeah, it's 50-50 for me. And in the case of 50-50 cases, I usually just want to lean towards not guilty, just because of that, have we met our bar here?
Reasonable doubt.
It has to be beyond a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. So with that spirit of optimism, I vote not guilty.
You guys are crazy.
Wow.
You're crazy.
Awesome.
You are crazy.
Oh, that's great. We should get out there and tell that very handsome judge.
He is, isn't he? Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have. We have, Your Honor, in the case of the... That's right, baby. In the case of The People versus Escape from L.A., we find the defendant not guilty of being a bad movie.
The verdict is so rendered. You're free to go, Snake, or Pliskin, whichever you're going by these days. But I want you to think long and hard before you get any bright ideas about making that Escape from Glasgow film. Court is adjourned.
This is Blake Sninskin from the Gabagoo Gazette. Philip, get your ass over here. You won this case. I bet against you. How you feeling?
Yeah, well, sometimes they win and Escape from LA loses, and sometimes Escape from LA wins and they lose. The more things change, the more things stay the same. It was a tough fight. I didn't know if I was up to it. Frankly, a couple times as I've listened to the show, I think I zoned out thinking I was just listening to the podcast. But I'm glad I could. I'm glad we could re-engage for justice. And for my client, I would like to be the first to say, welcome to the human race. Thank you.
All right. Brian Luis Rodriguez, you son of a bitch. You had one job. One job. Get in, get out with the win in 40 minutes. How you feeling?
So, Blake, you know you were in a terrible fucking movie, right?
Oh, God, don't even get me started.
Thank you. That's all I needed to hear.
He wasn't in that movie. This is Blake Sniskin.
I was a stunt double. I did the surfing scene. That wasn't CGI.
They're intellectually distinct.
All right. That's all the time we have. And I've been a hologram the whole time anyway. Back to the studio. I like that Blake Siskin guy. He sounds handsome.
I don't know.
He lost weight.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, he is
I thought he would be
intellectually
taller. I thought he was dead, and I thought he'd be taller.
Intellectually distinct.
Intellectually distinct.
Great points on both sides. I agreed with so much Ryan had to say.
I love that case. You guys both did a tremendous. You did this court proud, both of you. It was tremendous.
Yeah, no.
It was tremendous.
I don't know if I made the right decision.
You didn't. No, we can tell you right now, you didn't.
Yeah, that was so thin, Maynard.
No,
But
just don't.
You kicked it. You kicked it to Maynard. You kicked it to Ben.
If
So
it had any
Ben is the
relevance,
one.
I would have said it. I guarantee you, if that was accurate, I would have said it at some point.
Yeah.
But now you're going to think about it, aren't you?
Not even for
I'm
a
not.
second.
No, I can't think about things that are
You
wrong.
You can't.
Yeah, no. Kurt Russell wrote it, and John Carpenter directed it. It's not clever. I'm just sorry, man. It's
Wow,
just not.
I'm going to tell Kurt Russell you said
But
that.
if the
about
You
him.
should.
But
I love Kurt Russell as Santa Claus, though.
And give him a kiss for me when you see him.
But if Escape from New York had this sort of, like we said, a kind of a miracle about it, that it came together, and I think somebody said it looked like sometimes they were making without a script, then you have to allow for accidents to happen in the presence of some sort of skill and putting things together. So it is possible that, the artifice that they were dealing with was right there, and they're like, oh, great, well, we'll just keep going with that. And it works for there. They could have not intended it to be there. If it is there, it is there.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that LA is a phony replication of New York anyway. So why shouldn't Escape from LA be a phony replication of Escape from New York?
It's so
That's
thin.
my point.
God,
That's my
it's
point.
a terrible.
It's over,
point.
it's over your head, Schlender.
It's a
That is such a
terrible point.
film Twitter bullshit take on it. I've
Over
got to
your
say.
Yeah, Maynard is gonna go on Reddit right now. And go, guys, check this out.
Fucking
Everybody send your hate mail to Maynard, not to me.
That's so dumb.
Man. Now, see, like when I was talking about the house that Jack built and how I really
we're not going to the
thought
house that Jack built. Philip, what has been keeping you busy lately? What's been going on?
I've been listening to the show. Thanks a lot for that, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But I also have a book that's coming out.
Awesome.
It is not about escaping things. It is a murder mystery. It is called The Murderous Haircut of the Mayor of Bel Air. It is the first of my psychic barber mysteries about a woman who she cuts hair for a living in Los Angeles, and she has psychic abilities. So she touches the back of their heads, of her customers' heads, and she sees the perfect styles they want. They don't have to worry about messing it up in description, anything like that. She's really good at that. Things are fine until one day she touches the head of a stranger in the chair, and she sees a murdered body. And so she is compelled to, she is compelled to go into Los Angeles, and now I'm hearing my case come back at me. But she doesn't deal with any plastic surgery or tsunami surfing, but gets into the depraved underbelly of Bel Air and the poor side of town and the valley and all that sort of stuff.
Well, it sounds cool. And so, when is it due?
It is coming out September 1st of 2021.
Oh, okay.
So if you are if you're from the past, that's in the future. If you're from the future, it's in the past.
Oh, well, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm from both. It's strange how that works out.
Yeah,
At
I
the
believe
same
how
time.
This will air. It'll be upcoming, but no,
That's
very
fine.
cool.
People will find
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
it'll be there. It's not going anywhere.
Now, Philip, you said it's the first in a series.
Yes.
Like, do you just you want to like just take it as far as it can go, or do you have like a few structures in mind?
You know, and it's funny. I've been doing a couple interviews like this and shows like this and talking about the book, and I've realized how much more autobiographical it is than I realized it was. But I think I may have taken sort of a page of this escape idea, which is the first one is about sort of the police and holding up, supporting rich white people, right? The next one, she gets into YouTube video production and dealing with that little world. And it's all these little pockets of Los Angeles that I've also kind of dealt with myself, the music industry. I eventually take it to Disneyland, although I don't think I can call it Disneyland.
Call it the Happy Kingdom by the Sea.
Disneyland.
I would love it to get some sort of email from somebody who's like, "Hey, huge Escape from LA fan. Thanks for keeping it alive, man."
Also, here's your court order.
When does the hairdresser go to space?
The hairdresser is not. She is not going to go to space. My one
The ninth film.
My one magic thing is that she has psychic abilities. But something that I like doing is that very early she realizes that it's kind of limited. Unless she goes around town touching the heads of everybody, she can't just like find the killer, and find the motive and find the money just like that. So she actually has to do detective work. So it's a murder mystery, but it has some fun in it. It's sort of, if you know what a cozy mystery is, it's cozy-ish. There's no pets, but it has like a quirky female protagonist where murder happens. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of funny excuses for that she could go around to touch people's heads.
Yeah. When I get to number 9, then it's just like, slapping people in the
Send
back
them
of
to
the
space.
Send them to space.
People rub
And
my
she's
bald
just
head for
chasing
good
people
luck.
down
It's
the
so
street.
rude.
Give me your hair.
Give
Give
me
me
your
your hair. I'm
9
trying
or
to
10.
save the human race.
You have to go into space by then.
Sure.
No,
She gets all of them into like a big duck, duck, goose sort of circle.
There you go. See? It's easy. Yeah, the killer was a preschooler, and so they play Duck, Duck, Goose, and they can easily get it done.
You never expect them because they're so small, but they're all killers inside.
I agree with that. And give us the title one more time.
Oh, yes. The Murderous Haircut of the Mayor of Bel Air. So I have a ridiculous title, and I also have a name you can't pronounce. But if you look up Murderous Haircut Phillip in Google, you'll probably find it. It's that awesome.
Or you'll get a video that none of us want to see.
Yeah, you might.
I find myself Googling that like at least once a week.
Yeah,
That's-
right?
yeah.
Murderous Haircut, Phillip.
No, excellent, excellent. We'll have to have you back on for the second one.
I'd
too.
love it.
And
Awesome.
And always, we ask our guests for a recommendation of a movie that you think people should check out. So, what is a movie that you think our listeners should check out?
Yeah, I thought about this for a while, and I didn't want to just recommend another John Carpenter movie or something like that. But the thing that I think people would check out if they did like Escape from LA or that type of movie, or even Escape from New York, then I would recommend the movie I recommend to everybody, which is Attack the Block. You guys seen
Great
Attack
film.
the
Oh,
Block?
yes. Yeah.
Great film.
Great film.
With the little monsters, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that reminds me of, and I'm sure all evidence points to me being some John Carpenter devotee, and I don't think I am, but something that I do admire about him is that he has those premises. I can't remember which. I was listening at the door of the jury room, and somebody was saying how they liked the idea of Escape from New York more than the movie. I kind of get that because the idea is so good. I feel that same sort of energy going through Attack the Block. It's like a bunch of hoodlums in London encounter aliens, and an eventual Doctor Who is there, and they have to fight him. And it's a fun mix of sort of funny, sort of scary, monstery stuff. And it has Finn from Star Wars in his first role.
Mm-hmm. John Boyega.
Thank you, John
And
Boyega.
it's super political, which I love.
I do too, and that's another thing in there. It has an opinion about it. It is dealing with these kids as realistically as you can for a monster movie, but in that framework, it may not be real, but there's some truth in there. So I highly recommend people check that out and then try to quote it a lot because it's awesome.
All right, let's jump to our prosecutor. Ryan, what is your recommendation this week?
My recommendation is one that's considered a relatively minor work in the filmography of its director, whom I admire a great deal. His name is Jacques Tati, and that film is 1971's Traffic. The less you know about it, the better. Tati was known as an almost purely cinematic director, which means that he basically disregarded outdated concepts like story and character in favor of producing something singular that kind of washes over you, yet demands your full attention. And Traffic may be just a sublimely silly series of episodes, but it is the work of a master working at the peak of his power, rendering exhilarating cinema with the deftest of touches, a film that I expect to return to multiple times during the rest of my thankfully short life. Traffic is currently streaming on Canopy. Support your local library and the Criterion Channel.
If I could
is
ask,
something you want to tell us, Ryan?
Not at the moment.
You
No.
gotten bad news, or
No,
is that Ryan? Is that Traffic with a K? Is it spelled differently than?
no, that's the miniseries.
That's the
It's
miniseries.
Traffic with one F.
Thank you.
The French Traffic.
Thank you.
Trafic. I believe.
Traffic.
Ah,
Hey,
trafic.
menu traffic.
Trey Magna Traffic.
Ah, c'est bon, trafic.
Excellent. Ben, you are a judge. What do you got for us?
For my recommendation, I'm going to go with one that kind of illustrates why I don't mind giving obvious recommendations, because sometimes, for whatever reason, the environment you grew up in, or even where you spend, how you spent most of your adulthood, some things just don't really cross your path. And for me, one such example was another John Carpenter film, The Thing. I only saw this for the first time maybe 4 years ago in the Alamo Drafthouse. Yeah, no
Wow.
kidding.
Great place to
4 years ago.
see it. That's a fantastic place
It
to see
was. It was a great experience. And if you can, when Alamo Drafthouse gets rolling again, they always do John Carpenter films. So do this one if you can. And I was wowed. The practical effects, great tension. Kurt Russell and his research team are trapped in an Arctic base, and there's an alien life form that can take the form of anything there. I loved it. I think I watched it at least once every year since then, and I'm still not bored with it. So yeah, it's not really streaming anywhere, but the Blu-ray's worth $10, or go see it at Alamo if you can.
It's coming out on 4K in October, and I can't wait to crack into that thing.
gorgeous.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
There was a conversation I had recently on the internet of like, what is the best remake ever made? And I think it is The Thing.
There's a strong case to be made there.
Yeah.
And I even
like,
like the prequel. I think the prequel's actually not that bad.
A lot of people hate the prequel, and it's like, I think because they think it's a reboot, but it actually is a prequel. And I think it's excellent that I wish they had done more practical effects, but it's a good movie.
Oh wait, so you're saying that the remake of
I'm saying John Carpenter's
The
The Thing
is
is a remake.
right?
The
Is the
Howard
remake
Hawks,
of
yeah.
Thing from the other Thing from Another World.
Right.
And so I think it is
I just want to make sure I get all this down.
Yeah.
Hold on.
There is a case to be made the Thing from Another World is fantastic.
Yes,
but John
it
Carpenter's is even better.
Yeah.
And the short story is good too. It's called Who Goes There. I can't remember who wrote it, but if you read the short story, it's quite good too.
I have a very Hollywood story that one time at my kids' piano recital, I was walking out and Childs was there.
Yeah. Okay.
His granddaughter was performing, and I almost said, "Where were you, Childs?"
Where were you, Chad? My favorite dude is Windows. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
What kind of dude's name is Windows? I don't know.
Because Macs suck.
Exactly. Dilbo, what have you got for us?
Dilbo. Oh, well, guys, what an iconic team up. John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. Why, I can only think of one dynamic duo that outshines them.
Don't do it.
God,
That's
again.
right. That's right. J. Lee Thompson and Charles Bronson. Today, I am recommending Murphy's Law. Bronson plays a cop on the run and enlists the help of a troubled youth to save the day. Featuring an unusual antagonist, this movie breaks every movie law except one: Murphy's Law.
Ben, you know what Murphy's Law is, don't you?
I refuse.
It's don't fuck with Jack Murphy.
Don't fuck with Jack Murphy. If you ever wanted to see Charles Bronson do a jump double kick to kill someone, watch this movie. There you go.
No, I don't think it's a J. Lee Thompson movie, but are you ever going to recommend Telephone at some point?
At some point, yes. Once I get through all the Thompson movies.
We'll get to
There-
every Bronson movie eventually.
It's gonna happen. Yes. Buckle up, people. This is great stuff.
And so I'll send us on home. My recommendation this week is a bit out of left field, but hear me out. Pig from
Nice.
2021 with
Nice.
Nick Cage.
Very good.
Now, much like Snake Plissken escaped from LA,
I get it.
Nick Cage's character Robb Feld is a recluse living in the woods with his beloved truffle pig, who I think is just named Pig, having escaped the city of Portland and the unhappy memories that city holds for him. When Pig goes missing, Cage is forced to return to his old stomping grounds to find his lost sow, but he may just find a bit of himself along the way. This is not the Nicolas Cage we've seen of late. There's no rage Cage here. It's a quiet and subdued performance that might just remind you, oh shit, yeah, Nicolas Cage can act when he wants to, right? I don't know if Pig is playing in theaters right now.
It is.
Ryan?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And I don't know if it'll still be playing by the time this airs, but if it's not, you can always purchase it digitally on whatever platforms you normally patronize for those services.
He's so good in it. Oh god.
You know, I
Heartbreaking.
was surprised how much I enjoyed it, and Adam Arkin is so good in it too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
it's just so well done. I was impressed.
Exactly.
It's a good recommendation.
Yeah, thank you. That was the one I made.
Oh, would you look at that? The show is coming to a close. But we'd like to remind our listeners
Thank you, William Shatner.
that if you leave us an iTunes review and send us a screenshot of it on either Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook with the hashtag ROJ Reviews, you'll be entered into an upcoming raffle for some really cool Reels of Justice swag.
Yeah, what do we got?
How could you not do it after that?
Yeah, we got a cool little shot glass maybe, and
all sorts of neat
We
stuff.
have pins. We got
got stickers. We got the stickers. The stickers are great.
Maybe a coffee mug.
Maybe the coffee mug. Coffee mugs are great.
It's a cool mug. The mug looks
I
nice.
prefer the pins.
People like the logo. The logo.
And we have a laser cannon that you can graft into your chest to crush those who oppose you.
We're not raffling that off.
No, you have to put the
that's just for
sticker
me.
on your laser cannon. You don't actually get a laser cannon that has the logo on it.
It's a laser cannon sticker. So
Lacey did not approve that, so I don't think we should do it.
Dang.
And with that, we are all out of show. But we want to thank our guest Phillip Mottaz for joining us. I hope I said that right.
You didn't, but that's fine.
You say it then. Say it.
You said like Razzmatazz, dude.
I know. I took a shot in the dark.
No,
You get nervous?
I mean, everybody. Yeah, I get nervous too. I blanked on Keith David's name just a minute ago. No, it's pronounced Mottaz. Like Escape from LA is not as bad as you think it might be.
It's like, what's a mod as you?
That's a joke I made earlier, and you stole it, you son of a bitch.
And then he stole it from you,
It's
so
like
you
it has
couldn't
one
use it.
T in it, like traffic.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
Ah, c'est bon, Mottaz.
Well, we thank Phillip for being here. Everyone buy his book. Tell us the name of the book again, too.
Yeah, sure.
One more time.
Yeah, it is The Murderous Haircut of the Mayor of Bel Air. I should have also said I am trying not to sell it through Amazon. So please look up your local bookstore. You can go to bookshop.org, find it there, buy it digitally from someplace other than people who send space penises into space because they spent $16 billion. Help the world, not Amazon.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to buy it from Amazon, but it's a lovely sentiment.
What's the only way he can
bad
get it
about
on?
it as I do it.
Only way you can, well, you probably find other ways to get on your Kindle like that.
Oh, there's tons of ways.
Tons
I'm
of
not
ways.
But you're not going to do it. You're not.
I mean,
do it.
Philip's going to send me a promotional copy down that we're friends.
Only if you get a blurb on the back.
Only if I get a blurb.
As opposed to-
His quote literally says, only if I get a blurb.
I only bought
Well,
this
they'll
book if
probably
there's a
say host of
Of the Reels of Justice podcast.
the
yes.
host,
Yeah.
capital
The
D,
host.
the
The
host.
only one.
And then we'll all be
out of
listed as
fucking
co-hosts
four.
in our blurb.
But we'd love to have you back again, Phillip.
I love
You
it.
did a great job.
This was
Yeah,
we
great
hope-
case, man.
This is
Great
we
We'll
hope
get your
case.
name
everyone-
right this time.
And we hope I won't get it right next time. And we hope everybody will join us again next time as well, as the reels of justice keep turning.
Count it.
Pigs.
Pigs.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.